off in this place, catching vibes, sit back and we blaze in the sky like I'm out of space.
What's going on, cigar world? What's going on, cigar enthusiasts? This is Jack, the cigar enthusiast, and we're back with another banger. I hope you guys are ready, and I hope you guys are having a great Sunday, man. Overall, busy week, crazy week, but guess what? We made it here to the best day ever, Sunday at 7 o'clock on the virtual smoke deck. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn that notification bell, give us a huge thumbs up. And if you're watching from Facebook, don't be the only one to have this content at your hands, because we're about to dive into something very, very deep and very, very, very important when it comes to taking care of cigars. So I don't want anybody to miss this. Also, go like us on, like and follow us on Facebook at the Virtual Smoke Deck Live, and also for all the updated events and things going on at Dapper D's, which is our home shop, our lounge. Man, go ahead and follow us and like us on Facebook and Instagram at Dapper D Cigars, man. Man, look, I am ready. I am ready to rock and roll. You know, I was looking in my collection, right, prior to, and man, I pulled out the H. Upman Habano Cuban Magnum 56, right? And yeah, we don't have any problems with being fake and not being fake around here. We only have real Cubans when we smoke them, okay? But man, one thing I wanted to mention about is, man, this thing was loaded with some plume. And I wanted to make sure that I did not let that plume go to waste. So I was like, you know what? It's been a good week, been a busy week. We're going to smoke something good. And on top of that, you know, the Eagles lost. So don't even get me started there. We're not going to get into that field of mannerism tonight. Okay, man, we got some great guests coming to you for the next hour, man. And I'm excited to talk with them. You know, humidity is something that is near and dear to my heart. And it's something that is very collectively important when it comes to aging cigars and understanding how to get your cigars, you know, to the proper humidity and all of that good stuff. It's one of those things that you got to understand. And if you do not understand it, or you think, you know, the Boveda guys are amazing, or you think that, you know, the natural or the old school way of doing things is amazing, we're going to be running in circles and we're never going to get what we need to get done, right? So purpose of it, man, we're going to learn deep about relative, about actual, about, you know, different humidification products that you can purchase to help with the aging process and different things of that nature. We're going to dive into it all. So with that being said, our guest of the hours is Faizan and Steve. Hold on. It's two of them. I got to get them in. What's going on, champs?
Hey, how are you?
Man, we are great. What's going on, fellas? How's everything going?
It's great, man. Excited to be here. Excited to be here on your show.
We're excited to have you guys. It's, you know, we were supposed to do this. What's up, T-Shell? Hey, hold on. Hey, Terry, where you been at, man? Hey, you owe me a visit, and you owe me a visit real soon, okay? I have not seen you in a while. But man, we was trying to do this one time, and then Jack messed it up. It's not how I am. I don't normally just mess up stuff. But I'm glad to have you guys here today, man. And we're gonna dive into a lot of great things, man. So thank y'all so much for coming.
Our pleasure. It's really good to be here.
Yeah.
I like the V cup that you have on your cigar right there, Jack.
Oh yeah. The V cut is the only way to go. The deep V, Calibri V. You know, I actually just got an email, and this is for everybody that loves Calibri. Calibri V cuts and straight cuts are going up. They're going up to almost, I think they're at like $40 or something like that, some change. Well, they're going to be going to maybe $100. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's ridiculous.
Well,
I think everything's going up at this point.
Oh my God. When they shot me that message, I was surprised. I'm like,
things are getting ridiculous right now in the price.
And you know, that's what
it's about to be.
Go ahead.
No, I said it's about to be interesting holiday times with everything going up. Price.
So for everybody that don't know you guys, man, let's go ahead and get an introduction going. And then Faizan, we're gonna start with the introduction for Steve, and then Faizan is gonna end on you, and I would like you to tell us more about your company, about Aguair. That way, we can start rocking and rolling, get everybody acquainted.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, how should we start,
Let's see.
Jack? What would you like to know first? Our systems are designed for the commercial space
Oh.
for retail environments.
Introduction of you. Introduction of you.
All right. Well, my name is Steve Pavlo. I handle the sector for cigar humidification. My job is to make sure that we meet and maintain the proper humidity at your preference, normally right around 70 RH. But some people like it 64, some people like it 62. We can meet and do it.
Yeah. Okay. Faizan?
Hey guys, Faizan Aly. I'm the CEO for Aguair. Steve is our head sales guy for Aguair, but I wanted to personally be here. This is an industry that I'm really excited about, so I'm personally wanted to be here and kind of pass on the experience that we have about humidity. We are involved in other different industry from agriculture and other areas, but cigar is a growing industry, and personally wanted to be here at Jack's show and kind of introduce our product and talk about the importance of humidity, like you said.
Yeah.
Those are important subjects.
So Faizan, what made you? Obviously, you're already into the agriculture, farming, those different biochemistry fields and stuff like that. What was the purpose of not only starting your company, but what was also the importance of one getting into the cigar sector of the house?
So, we are, like you said, we are heavily involved in the agriculture side, from agriculture to livestock to a lot of those areas. But cigar is an industry that's gaining a lot of popularity right now. There's independent stores that are opening up everywhere. Other sectors like retail industry, if you look at it, consists of chains and chains. There's not a lot of independence. But if you look at cigar, it has a potential to grow really fast because it's mainly independents.
Yeah.
And that is an industry that we want to concentrate. Plus, our equipment is a commercial equipment that could make a huge difference in the industry. We're not a company that got into this. We've been in this industry for 30 years for humidity. So when we bring our product line that has been time tested, we are bringing something that is quality and that maintains what we are telling you it will do, right? So it's not something that you are readily purchasing from your local hardware store and putting it together. This has been researched and developed for maintaining humidity level, which is a very important topic that we'll get into today. So,
absolutely. One thing about for me, for anybody that wants to jump into the shoes of the owner real quick. Not too many people, I think, want to do that, but they say they do. When I first opened, I had I had told you guys this at the store. I had when I had opened, I had the two standalone units with the top fans and the gauge, the meter all the way across the thing, and whatever the case may be. And I felt like, I live in Florida, so humidity is something that I don't necessarily have to deal with unless it's the summertime when I have too much of it. So you're trying to figure out, how can I get all this humidity out versus people like in Chicago, Canada, and stuff like that, where they're like, oh, I need every inch of humidity because if I don't, then we're gonna have this issue. So we end up ripping them out, and then we end up going, a whole nother route. And the purpose of it was, it's all about having the right product, right? It's all about having the product that's going to, reach every square inch of that room and humidify, because cigars are so absorbent. So whatever you put in that atmosphere, whether it's smoke, whether it's whatever the case may be, whatever you put in that atmosphere, the cigars are gonna bring it in. So having the relative humidity that's correct and the the micro bead, and maybe you can go into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Too.
So let me get it. Let me. There's a couple of things you just mentioned that I want to hit on definitely. So one thing you mentioned was humidity in Florida. You know, the common misconception. No, not I shouldn't say misconception. The common conception is I got too much humidity, especially in summertime. I got too much humidity. Well, I have talked to a lot of customers that are a little bit different. So most of them are lounges that we're getting involved in, especially high-end lounges. They want to maintain the fine humidity, so customers that are smoking there can enjoy it, get drinks and things like that. But the point is that most of those lounges have to maintain a temperature.
Yeah.
When they maintain a temperature, that means they're using the HVAC. And like in Florida, it's going to get hot. When it gets hot, you're more running your HVAC even more. Now you're doing the opposite. You're actually pulling out humidity. So HVACs are designed to remove humidity. And sometimes those areas are so tight and they actually have exhaust going, this going. So they're blowing out the whatever humidity is left and exchanging air so fast. A lot of times that works backwards. So you're decreasing your humidity and then affecting the cigars that are in your humidor, especially, right? That's why, you never know when your cigars are going to drop. A 10% drop in humidity, you can feel it on the cigars. 15%, 20%, yeah, you get drastically feel it. But it makes a difference. And to a cigar guy who's smoking it, he will know the difference. Beyond that, it's affecting your revenue point. Main point, you earn profit on cigars, and the second source of profit is your drink, right? So the customer sitting there, if the cigar burns quicker, the humidity is drier, it's going to burn quicker. It's paper. So burn quicker. When it burns quicker, the customer sitting there will drink less. And when it drinks less, I mean, instead of 2 drinks, he may order 1 drink. That's also a revenue point that you may lose, right? So it goes beyond just maintaining humidity for the flavor. Of course, that makes a huge difference. But even beyond that, your bottom line, right? Your revenue point gets affected too.
Yeah.
So, the system pays for itself in no time. The reason being, it's just a matter of putting the system in, and you see the profit margin go up, not only in favor of your cigars. You have a huge array of cigars from low end to really high end to cover all different kind of clients, right? So it can give you a wide range of areas. You can bring up your revenue. And by having this, it just makes a difference. It can make a difference in that scenario.
Yeah. And I think that is very, very important. You have something to add to that, Steve?
No, it's just absolutely, and our systems speak for itself. By meeting and maintaining humidity is the most important thing. Is the proof is in the puff, and our job is to focus on humidity as you can focus on your customer.
Yeah.
And it's a fully automated system. So
one thing that I think is a misconception is, how important the micro beading is. A lot of people say, hey, when I walk into a humidor, I see this white layer on the cigars. Tell people what that's from, and tell people how to minimize that.
Easy. Faizan, you want to head up?
Go ahead, Steve. Okay. So the white layer, there's a couple of reasons for the white layer. First, main reason, and most of the time what we see is the quality of water. You being in Florida, right? You have hard water, and more we get across the U.S., the water is getting harder, right? Across the board. The white layer is almost, when you atomize, you're basically exposing the mineral that are dissolved in the water, right? So the finer the droplet, the quicker the air of the water evaporates, and what's left behind is that mineral, almost a calcium magnesium effect that you're getting. So what you're seeing is a fine layer of that calcification on the cigars, because you're putting out the finest fog because you don't want to get your cigars wet. And the finer fog, water evaporates, and what's left over is that film. And most of the time, it's just a wipe down. And a lot of guys, I've seen that. They have their employees go in every hour or so and wipe down the wrapping of the cigars, and to make sure their cigars are looking clean. So that's a huge point, because if a customer sees a white layer, it's almost like it's a barrier between that cigar and you, and the customer viewing at it, right? So the impulse buy, it's a huge dent on the impulse buy.
So do you think it? So obviously you say this, this scalification of the water, and so when that go into the filtering of the water as well?
Yeah. So we supply our reverse osmosis with every single RO with the humidity system, and the pure reason for that is to make sure that we are maintaining the quality of fog that's coming out. Right, because what's coming out makes a huge difference in what you said. It's also the quality of water. If there's something left in the water, you don't want to make that fog fine enough where your customer is getting on your customers and things like that too. On top of that, on top of your cigars.
So a lot of times when you see access, and this was with Steve, when you see a lot of access of that, then it's kind of a key indicator that maybe there's no filtration going to that water, and it's probably straight up water, and it's not being broken down to a distilled state, right?
That is correct, and our job is to pick up. With the reverse osmosis system, takes about 94 to 95% of the key elements that come from the city water. So what you're pushing out onto your product is pure. You don't have to worry about any kind of buildup whatsoever, as we're speaking about. So it's basically removing that, because at the end of the day, what you're smoking is quality. So our job is to remove that. So we have our system. We have an RO 150, comes with a membrane. Sorry, I have an awesome cat right there.
That wants to get in, huh?
So our job is to remove the elements that come through there. So we have a membrane. We've got 3P filters. We've got that's the key, is right there, is by maintaining the RO as well. So once you have your reverse osmosis system, your job is to make sure that your filters are maintained on a timely basis. And our job is, the microns that come out of our system are between 6 to 10 microns is a fog. So it's smaller than a dust particle. So at the end of the day, by having the reverse osmosis systems to being coming through our system, which is an air and water closed loop system, the proof is in the pudding. So by any questions further regarding for reverse osmosis systems that you have, or do you utilize a reverse osmosis system in your location as well?
Oh, of course. I mean, the reason why I bring that up is because a lot of people just don't know, right? It's not to overhype anything, but it's simply due to the fact that this is something that we need to educate on, right? We have a bunch of consumers that watch, which we're about to get into their spectrum of the house, without diving too deep into retail, because consumers is what makes us all go around. So when you look at when they're walking into humidifiers, to humidors, when they're walking into humidors, they see this, they see that. These are indicators on why or how something could be a red flag. I mean, you have a decline right now of people walking into brick and mortars, and the reason why is price, it's quality of service, and it's the quality of the product. So for us, what we do every single morning before we open up the doors, we have a cigar medic, and we go stab at least 20 cigars. Why? Because we want to know and make sure that our quality that we're putting out is 100% great. So if something is at 63, then I need to get that a little bit more attention over there, right? Or if there is something that is at 70, then okay, we need to take a little bit of attention off of that. And it's just maintaining it, right? And it's maintaining it in a sense that allows us to give that quality product. So when you do smoke, when you do pick up a cigar, you don't have to worry about it going and put it in your humidor and keep it there for a couple months because it's just not ready. You can smoke it now, and we're 100% stamping on our product. So that was the purpose of that one.
And another thing you mentioned, Jack, was maintenance. That's another key thing is, putting in the RO and putting in the system is just not, maintenance is another key that
Yes.
people a lot of times forget about. And, you know, being a lot of the independents, we are focused on our business and we are focused on driving sales. We are focused on, you know, providing the quality of product that the customer needs. And a lot of times we forget about maintaining the equipment that's providing that quality, supporting that quality. So yeah, the
Yes.
maintenance is important, like RO, changing out the filters quarterly, 6 months, whatever the manufacturer requires. In our case, is every 3 to 6 months, depending on the area you're in. But that is important, right? That is what's going out onto your cigars. So if that doesn't get maintained, you know, we that's why we started recently a PM program for a lot of those independents that wanting us to do it, and we can offer that service. But that's why it's important. We're willing to put, if we're willing to put our equipment down, we want to make sure it's always providing the quality that the customer deserves, right?
Yes.
And that's why we're backing that up with a program. But yeah, I just wanted to hit that subject because you were talking about maintenance. Because
no, we're gonna get into a lot of that because I think, you know, I think that's like for us, you know, we're different, right? I have a military background, so I look at everything from a planned maintenance system, right? So everything is broke down. Hey, the filters are labeled. Whatever month I changed them out is labeled. So 6 months, all I gotta do is look. Oh, it's not ready yet. My air filters are always on schedule to be changed out. My primary 2 months. My carbon fiber one, not carbon fiber. My carbon one is gonna be changed out every 6 months. The purpose of it is so we can give air quality. We got 100% quality product going out, you know, air, humidification, all that. But I think it's very, very, very important when it comes to the humidification of your cigars, right? Because if you just get the system and you're like, oh, when you walk in, you're looking for the system to go off, people are like, well, why the system's not going off? Well, let's talk about it, because something called over humidification is a thing. And if your cigar is over humidified, then it's going to slow. I mean, it's going to burn really, really fast. It's going to feel wet. It's going to feel squishy. When you go to smoke it, it's going to be real soft. So even on a more hard rolled cigar, you're still getting something that is lackluster, right? You're going to have burn issues. You're going to have tunneling. You're going to have canoeing. You're going to have things where the ash doesn't stay on there because why? It's not humidified right. It's gonna fall off. So that's the part that I want to really dive deep in with you guys is, you know, what systems do you have for consumers? Maybe for their personal humidors, for maybe stand-up lockers that they have, or stand-up cabinets that they have. What are some systems that you guys have and offer for the consumers?
So, you know, we are coming from a commercial sector. So our specialty is the large humidors in a large space. But we are coming out with smaller systems that will, we are actually working with a couple of manufacturers to come up with some system, because right now what exists in the market is a Vic type deal that is, you know, wet sponge or that has a fan on it, has a Vic, so it kind of goes out humidity, but it requires a lot of maintenance. You have to change the water out on a daily basis, and you don't know really what's going on inside of it, right? Especially dealing with mold issues and things like that. So we specialize in systems that are closed loop, so there's no storage of any sort. Steve, you want to add to that? You were saying something.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Jack, you mentioned, and I'm sorry we started talking more and more, but I want to thank you for your service.
No, man, no problem, man. I appreciate
Thank
your
you.
support.
Yeah,
Appreciate your support.
Yeah, no problem. So where you just touched on so much right there, was you maintain your systems properly, and I love how you had that schedule, because that's the most important thing. Our job is to meet and maintain the humidity on an ongoing basis, where you have our systems are designed to ensure that you get the proper humidification 360 basically in your entire humidor. So you can put a hygrometer in one area, a hygrometer in another area, and we can ensure that your whatever proper RH that you're looking to What is the RH that you normally like to keep in your humid?
My focus is 70-70.
70.
Yeah, I think that's good.
And that's and that's our job. Our job is to make sure that our systems can meet and maintain that. We even came up with we had a situation where they were not achieving the humidity that they wanted to meet, and it was at 40 RH when we got in there. We installed the system. I think it was within I would say about 15 minutes. We were able to meet at 70% immediately. So if you're ever freaking out where if the power goes out, gets restored, you turn our systems come right back on, we can meet 70% in a very quick time period. So that's also a good thing as well.
Yeah, and you, Jack, you were mentioning about smaller cases and things like that. So what our customers do is our system, there's going to be things. So let's talk about first the retail, and then I'll get into a little bit more about the consumer level. Mm-hmm. So in retail, there's lockers. If you look at a particular stores, from a store standpoint, you have a humidor, and you have lockers, and you have lounges.
Yeah.
So we only get involved in really the locker and the humidor, right? Mm-hmm. The humidor, as small as like 200 square feet or 100 square feet to as large as, what we do. We've done humidors that are like warehouses, exactly. We're talking about 2,000 square feet sometimes, warehouses. And, in our sector, we do warehouses that are 1 million cubic feet. So we are used to small to large. So in a retail sector, the key is they have large inventory, and large liability equals large liability. So they need to maintain humidity, and that's a very key point because they got to protect their investment.
Yes.
And that's why the key is to go at that point with a commercial system. Coming from a commercial area, you guys, independent, small, large, whatever. If you are a working retail store, you are a commercial sector. Absolutely. And for you need to have a commercial system.
Yeah.
Right? That has been time tested. When we install our system, the only thing that really goes in your room is a nozzle. And what nozzle puts out is a 6 to 10 micron. I'm going to get a little bit of technical here, but I'm going to connect everything together. 6 to 10 micron droplets. And for the viewers that are watching, the 6 to 10 micron droplet is smaller than a hair particle, right? Why is that a key? Because those droplets, you don't want to go too fine because then they'll evaporate too fast and you have no control over that. You want to do just right, the droplet size, where it gets into the atmosphere, kind of lingers in the air, the humidity, the fan's going, the humidity mixes and brings up the humidity within the environment. So it mixes well. It puts out a fog and it fills up that room and turns off. And it turns on and off in a timely manner. Why is that? Because if you continue to spray, a lot of these smaller humidors or humidifiers, they continually run. Well, what's happening is you're getting a pocket of humidity right here, but your hygrometer across the room is reading really low. There is no mixing going on. Mm-hmm. Our system produces a fog, which is force driven. So you're getting a 5 to 10 feet fog, depending on the type of system you go with. You're getting that fog, which is forced into your room, and it mixes. So when it turns on for like 2 minutes, it'll turn off for a minute, 2 minutes again, and then turn back on, allowing the air to absorb humidity, right?
So,
go ahead.
No, so I was going to ask a question. So do you think it's necessary to put like fans and all of that stuff in your humidors?
Yeah. So a lot of fans are really good. Fans allow the air to mix, and it pulls up the air from the bottom level to the top level and allows it to mix. There is a force driven, but fans always help, right? Yeah. But you don't have to put the fan right at the humidity coming out and force it this way because it's already force driven. It's shooting out, right? Unlike others, just falls out. This is shooting out about 5 to 10 feet. So fans in the room allow the things to mix quickly. You can allow it to do it naturally, but it takes a minute to do it. By having the fan, it mixes really well.
And I'd like to add on top of that, Faizan, is that our systems are a low pressure system, but which pushes out at 30 psi of air, 40 psi of water. So it's not a high pressure system. This is a low pressure system design.
And I think that's a very interesting, right? because for me, you know, we don't have a fan in ours, but we do have two vents that are right at the top that are forcing down at all times, right? So eventually, with the humidification pushing out, and then the airflow, it kind of mixes in organically, right? And I think that's the best way to one humidify organically, but I also feel that is the best way to control the over humidification in certain areas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and you know, one thing you mentioned, so there's oils in the layers of cigar. That's what, you know, the flavor, the fermentation, that's what kind of stores the oil, and that's what you're really flavoring. By humidifying it, you almost activate it. You know, a lot of times, a lot of old school guys will drop a drop of water in the whiskey they drink or scotch they drink. You know why? It opens up the oils. It almost like causes a quick reaction in the oils.
Yeah,
that's what humidity does. It just bursts the flavor that you get. So humidifying the cigar with just right humidity exposes those oils, and that's what the flavor smooths it down when you smoke the cigar. So when you're humidifying it and you blow too much air to it, you're actually doing the opposite, right? It's you're drying them out quickly.
Yeah.
Paper, if you have a wet piece of wood and you try to start a fire in your fire pit with a wet piece of wood, it's not going to catch on really quick.
No.
But if you have just right, and if you have a really dry piece of wood, it burns really fast, right? But that's why we keep woods outside, so just a little bit of humidity on it, but you keep it above the ground, and so air moves through it. Same kind of concept. You want to have airflow in the room, but you want to have humidity on the cigars, so it keeps it at 70%. That's why we control the percentage. And in our system, is automatic. So once you plug in the humidity, you set it and you forget it, and maintains it, turns on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off.
Yep.
There's sensors built in, so the humidity is maintained. I have a lot of guys that we talk to that will spread out hygrometer throughout the rooms, right? So they can see the humidity level at different shelf level. And they see, just like what you said, you test them, you know, you maintain that humidity. So, you know, where your sensor is located, maybe a little bit up and down, so you can calibrate your system. All right, if I do 72% on my control system, it's 70 all the way across. I see it 70% all the way across on my shelf. But that's what it takes. You have to maintain the humidity because your customers really feel that. And that's what the loyal customers do. They keep coming back, is because somehow your cigar always is on point. Yeah. Right. And those are the little details. That's what it takes.
So let's go into the technical side of the house. Relative versus absolute.
So, you know, it's all, even apps. So when I'm thinking you're talking about humidity, right? Setting up the relative humidity versus absolute. So absolute, you know, absolute humidity still has percentage air. So absolute is still percentage air. So it's not going to be ever absolute, because depending on the range you have, you're still going to have percentage air. Even with our system, we have a really accurate sensor. You're getting a 2% plus or minus relative humidity. When you set it to that percentage, and depending on where your sensor is located, it will read the humidity in your room plus or minus 2%. You're getting very accurate humidity. So that's why the technical term, even the technical term, is always referred to as relative, because there's no absolute ever, because you can never get accurate, because if I move from here and move 3 feet down or 4 feet down, I may get a little differential.
Yeah. And the reason I ask that is so many people, you know, always talk about relative, and I don't think enough people know why they talk about relative, right? I think it's more of, that's the terminology we use, so we just use that terminology. But what does it actually mean? You know, when you talk about relative, like you stated before, you had a great example of it. For anybody that caught it, for anybody that probably missed it, is, you know, you set the hygrometer, I mean, not the hygrometer, but the humidification unit at 72. That means that your shells are eventually going to be at 70, or vice versa. You set it at 68, it's probably going to be at 60. You set it at 70, it's probably going to be set at 68. So you have to know those, because that dial is going based off of absolute. right? It's censoring the absolute value. So when it goes off or it clicks on, that's based on what the system is reading, and that's not reading a relative. Now, when you start to test and you start to look at cigars on a more of a shelf base, right? Those are going based off of relative because again, you don't know how much you. It's not like you have like your a weatherman or something like that that goes with a humidification rod and just say, "Oh, right here is perfect." You know what I mean? Or right here is even better than that one. So it's just understanding those two. Now, so going into the understanding of those two, when it comes to personal units, what is your style of seasoning, or what do you think? What have you found is best for those cigars? And what I mean by that, uh, seasoning styles, whether it's a Boveda seasoning or it's a traditional seasoning. What's your take on it, if you have one?
So if I'm using in my personal humidor, and I usually tend to have Boveda packets, right? Because that's the simplest way to go. Now, if I had a huge cabinet, then I would go into a full blast cigar, humidification system.
Uh-huh.
But it tends to be that people have their personal humidors, or the little small 12 by 12, and they tend it in that scenario. I would not try a wet wick, definitely. I would go with the Boveda packets and change them out as you need to, because those are designed to maintain a set point. With the wet wicks, you really don't have any control, and then you can have issues with growth on them. How often do you clean them? How often do you do that? So by having that, and most of the most customers or most enthusiasts, they like to have a cedar box or some very high-end wood design, and usually wood tends to hold moisture as well. So it's also it's almost like breathable, but just like in wine industry, that's why they age the wine in barrels, because the barrel gives its own flavor and it tends to lead in oxygen and all that scenario. Same in this. So Boveda packets also always maintains the humidity in the packet, and that's usually the way we go. The way I would recommend it in my personal use for small size.
Steve, you have a preference?
I'm on the same path as what Faizan's describing as well. So I'm coming from the commercial environment as well. Is one thing I would like to address is our systems that we have now for the residential units moving in the near future, but our nozzles are on the walls. Is your unit on the shelf that you currently have, or is it how is yours?
It's on the wall. It's on the wall.
It's on the wall. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one thing that our customers really do appreciate, is by having the nozzles on the wall, because it allows them to have more space on their racks. I mean, when I walk into a place and I see this huge system that is sitting right here or on the shelf, and I'm just looking at them like, we can allow you to have a lot more product to sell, immediately, because we won't take up any shelf space.
Right.
That's what I would like to point out.
So, looking at the commercial side, going back to it. So, commercial units. Do you encourage your customers to maybe wipe down their shelves, wipe down their walls, or is it just put the wood in and just put our system in there and it all works?
We've had success with the season of the humidor. They would install our system probably even a month out, just to have our systems go there, season their cedar, I should say, and or if you just want to apply your system, right when everything comes in, that's fine as well. But the seasoning of the wood is really, really important, and very, very, very important.
Faizan?
Yeah, so that's a really good point too. There's two things I want to talk about. Is the wipe down one, and first I'm going to get into the wood. So wood like cedar wood, most of the time, Spanish cedar, that's what most of the humidors are using. They hold moisture, and what Steve mentioned is a really good point. Most people, you have to season the wood, and a lot of times when they first install the system, is my humidity is not going up. Humidity is not going up. Well, because your wood is absorbing it. When it's dry, it's like a sponge. It's gonna absorb that humidity. Once you stabilize that room, once you have fed the wood with the moisture that's holding, then it goes to the access level and the air absorbs it. Yeah. Second thing is you want it to absorb. Otherwise, there's a competition between cigar and the cedar absorbing. So your humidity is being robbed by the cedar, and then you want your cigars to be humidified too. So that's why in order to maintain that humidity, you need a system that can blast out humidity fast and allow the boat to stabilize. And wipe down. Once you mentioned wipe down, that is really important too, because when you have any kind of layer of dirt build up or even moisture build up on it, dirt tends to stick to it a lot faster. Yeah. But what it does, it locks down those pores, and that could lead to moisture being trapped in the on the wood, can lead to mold and other things. So your air needs to move through it, and your wood doesn't need to hold. It needs to hold moisture, but not as much moisture, and lock it in there. You're not trying to lock it in there. You need to wipe it down. You need to clean it and make sure that your wood is holding moisture, and so are your cigars. Yeah. So that is so a lot of times people forget to do that. So that's that going back to that maintenance part of it and taking care of the details.
And I think a lot of people forget it, but I don't think a lot of people know it, and I made a video. It was very controversial to a point. I had to take it down because it caused too much commotion, and people wasn't really ready to have the conversation. But I had referenced, I'll be honest, I'm different from you guys, right? I am the basics, right? Wipe down your spanner, your personal humidor, seal it for 2 days, and then put some cigars in there. It'll stabilize. That wood is absorbed all that water already. As long as you didn't coat it with a freaking 1-inch layer of water, you're going to be all right. But the stars are going to absorb it out the wood. So what I don't think a lot of people understand is the wood releases, the wood absorbs, and the wood naturally releases, right? And that is where the cigars are pulling it out of their atmosphere into the cigars. So when I was explaining the video, it seemed as if I was bashing Boveda, and we actually got both. Yeah, so somebody just got done shooting something.
Yeah, I think the fireworks are going off.
Fireworks, yeah.
So,
but it looked as if I was trashing Boveda, and I actually got Boveda Rob coming on in a couple of weeks to talk about these things, but it wasn't, right? It was legitimately just saying, hey, in this and this and that. So I had made a reference. I said, on a commercial unit, you don't stick Boveda packs in there, right? And say, okay, I'm good. You have to wipe down every single shelf. You have to wipe. And I mean, I spent 5 hours just wiping down shelves and individual shelves and all that, spraying the bottom. I mean, my hands started to feel like you got carpal tunnel because I was spraying so dang much. But again, that's how you establish that correct humidity. And it's something that once you have the right humidification product in, it's something that maintains itself. You do it one time and then you maintain. But then the other part was, like you said, the dirt, right? A lot of these shelvings that or sheets of wood or whatever you use for your humidor are coming from factories where they're sitting on the floor, where they have dust particles and all that stuff from the cutting process being built up on it. If you're not wiping that stuff off, then again, it's just like dirt on concrete. If you don't sweep that off or move it off, eventually when it rains, it's going to soak into the concrete, and then you're going to have to pressure wash it off. So that stirred up a lot of mess. Let's just say,
no, it's a good point, though.
This guy's an idiot. Who would ever use Boveda in a commercial unit? And I was like, the purpose of it was to talk about the wiping mechanism.
Right. I understand what you're saying. Jack, we have a number of customers that have big fulfillment warehouses, and they use our system in order to throw the humidity within the on their product, so to make sure that they have the freshest product sent to the customers. And what they would do is just once the process and the cigars are picked up, they would just throw it in a pack, put a Vivito pack in there, and by the time it gets to the end customer, okay, he's got a pack with a design pack that it will ensure freshness. But behind the scenes, there's a really big competition with fulfillment and for e-commerce and for stores and for brick and mortar or whatever. Is just make sure that you do anything you can on your end to make sure that you have the freshest cigars, and then they would just throw in a Bobito pack at the end.
And one thing you mentioned, Jack, was Bovita packets in commercial environment. It's good for temporary use or personal use, but commercial use, you need to have something that is designed for commercial, right? And a lot of times what happens is, like I said, it's a lot of independent stores. And when you're first starting out, you just want to get things going, right? You want to just get things going, and so you can retail. You just opened your store and you want to get things going. So a lot of times that research comes after the fact, and they tend to just go with things, right? And that's what a normal small business will do. But exactly once you work up, that's a common way, and that's okay. By doing the research, when you grow, you need to get to another level, because you're going to have a phase where you're going to plateau out in your sales, because you're doing the traditional, you're doing the basics. In order to get to the next level, that's where you get involved with the commercial system. You expand your client base, because those cigar enthusiasts, that top shelf guys, they will come to the store and realize right off the bat, this is not to my point. That is the key. And those guys are the ones that are going to come again and again and again. That's your repeat business right there, right? So that's why it's a key to, when you're choosing your system, when you get to that level where you want a system that works, that's when you start looking at guys like us, and we give you the knowledge, the power to maintain that humidity and to go after the high-end guys.
And what's crazy is, go ahead. Sorry, Steve.
Oh, so I'm sorry. I want to touch one thing is how the best way to say it is, God, I just had it right on the tip of my tongue, but we work with a number of manufacturers, and that's what I'm saying is, from the manufacturer standpoint, as they're making their product, we would ensure freshness even at the very beginning. So when I'm talking about fulfillment establishments, I'm talking about manufacturers as well.
And I think it's best to even break down, warehouses and fulfillment centers a little bit better too, because Faizan said it best, right? People are normally, fulfillment centers, they'll fulfill the cigars, take whatever their packaging is, throw a bow with a pack in there, throw a water pillow, throw some type of humidification and get it through the melting process. And I think that is also where I think a lot of consumers should start understanding too, is where your quality is really coming from, right? You're expecting however long the shipping process takes for your cigars to get ready for humidification or ready to smoke by the time you get them. And what you see is a lot of during the humidification, during the online sale process of it, people are, I got to sit and let this wait because it came in the mail. And you're partially right? It's not even saying that it's a lie, because on warehouse perspective, they're not outlining the wall with Spanish cedar. You know how expensive that'll get to outline the 10,000 square foot warehouse with cedar spill or cedar wrapped walls. It's normally going to be some type of green board that goes on with a moisture absorbent paint to make it look good. And then they have a bunch of humidifications, just like PCA was, right? PCA is just a freaking
one big room. Yeah.
One big room, and y'all got constant humidification pumping,
right,
at the same time. So when I'm not going to call anybody out because, some of these guys are good friends, but one of the stores, like where you have things like Cigar Bid or stuff like that, where it's coming you're getting constant a large amount of cigars. All they do is got this stuff stacked away in some type of warehouse with humidification. We don't know if it's great humidification or lackluster humidification, but we know they're pumping some type of humidification in there. And then once they pump that humidification in there, they're really getting it to the point where it's just it's you're expecting the humidification process to happen while it's in that packaging and on its way to you. And in reality, that's not the case. Right.
And the current environment as is, with the supply being short, a lot of manufacturers are starting to stock more and more and more because they have to stock. In order to get through this crisis of supply chain, you have to stock more and more. And that's why a lot of manufacturers are starting to do better and higher levels of humidification because they're stocking more cigars. And a lot of manufacturers, they manufacture and oversee whatever, and then it ships to here in a bulk packaging, and it's packaged smaller for retail use and all that, right? So when they're stocking bulk packaging, it gets even more critical to provide that humidity that you need to in order for your cigars to preserve the shelf life.
Absolutely.
Right? And we come from an agriculture market, like the Del Montes of the world. They use our system, right? So in perishable market, just to go a little bit off topic here, but in perishable market, the reason humidity is key is the fruit dries up, and then the major weight of fruit, how they sell it, the perishable, how they sold is by the weight. Because the drier the fruit, the lower it weighs. So the main thing is you have to provide the moisture, because if the fruit shrinks in size, they lose bottom line. It affects the bottom line in shrinkage, right? So they rely on our systems to do that. And that is the kind of technology that we're bringing to the table. It's a newer type technology. And, a lot of people look at it as like, oh, I got to do this. I got to have a control in the back room. I got to have this. No, I'd rather do this small unit. It's going to mount on the wall. But they're not looking at the commercial type that you're getting. You're
not looking at it from a larger scale. Go ahead.
No, you're just trying to plug in. You're trying to put a Band-Aid on a problem. The Band-Aid is only it's not gonna heal the problem. It's not gonna heal. It's gonna be a temporary solution. What we're coming in is a permanent solution, so you can move on to the next level. So we're not coming in saying that, oh yeah, here's your small system. We are commercial guys and providing a commercial solution for those small businesses, giving a whole new perspective to the industry.
So one thing I love about y'all systems, like talking about the details of it, it's like, it looks like a camera. It looks like an old school camera, black, about yay big, about maybe that large in diameter, and then just pushing, right? And you can angle it to go upward. You can angle it to go downward. You can angle it to go left, right, whatever you want it to, however you want it to angle in there. And it's just simple. You got a water line, run the water line from your reverse osmosis system, have a plumber do it. Don't
directly to
the have a plumber do it. Let's talk about that first. Let's have a plumber do it. So you don't mess nothing up, but it's so simplified, right?
Correct.
Now, is there any internal parts within that you have to worry about? Is there any lifetime warranties or any warranties on the product if something internally happens?
So let me go back to a little bit of the design. This is going back to my engineering team. So when we were first designing systems like these, we wanted to simplify it. So yes, we recommend a plumber to do it, but even if a small business guy who had a little bit of knowledge can install it. We offer installation in a whole package as well. So we come and do it a complete package. Yeah. So not only the start, we help you start the system installation and offer a PM package to maintain it throughout the time.
Yeah.
So we are a full service company, and then we can come in and do it. When we designed the system, I didn't want any other controls. We wanted to simplify it. So only thing coming in your room is that housing that you mentioned, the camera looking housing. So your customer thinks, oh, there's a camera, but it's a fog coming out of it. So it's cool. Second thing was, we even thought about putting a red light so it looks like it's recording.
That'd have been dope.
So, but yeah, the point was to make it simple. So the water line comes directly into the nozzle, into the housing. And the second thing that it uses is air to atomize, both at low pressures. The water is coming directly from your city. It's getting plugged in. You don't need additional equipment. So when you buy our equipment, everything comes equipped with it. So you don't need additional equipment. Only thing you're providing is water and power, and we take care of the rest.
And you want an RO system.
Yes, you want an RO system. And you know, if RO system wasn't there, our system will not work. No, it will work. But whatever it's in the water, it will atomize and get on your cigars. So that's why RO is important. And that's why we add. And a lot of times, customers, I have good water. I'm in, Atlanta. There's a lot of good water. It's perfect example. Customer right down in Alpharetta. Not gonna name any names, but he was adamant. I don't need an RO because I have good water. We installed it. 2 days later, we got a call saying, I'm getting white films on my furniture. Like, we told you, RO.
Yeah, we told you.
Third day we installed the RO, no white film.
Yeah.
Right? It was a perfect. In Atlanta, water is good. The point is that when you atomize that small, whatever is coming out is atomizing. Yeah. So water goes directly into the nozzle. And second thing that atomizes and makes those droplets is the air. We punch in air. We only punch in about 20 psi of air, but that air is what allows the water to atomize. And the air it's a small little point of use. Even the air doesn't have a tank. Most people confuse that. Okay, I'm going to put a little air compressor like the one I use with my gun or with my air sprayers and things like that. We have a specialized air compressor that is a point of use. So there's no storage there either that can contaminate the water and get on your cigars. So everything is point of use. There's no storage tank or reservoir at all that you have to clean. That's awesome. Everything goes inside the nozzle, and then there's a remote control that you can remote in the back room or in outside of your room, wherever you want, to plug in the humidity, and that's it. There's 3 components: your control, or I should say 4 if you get the RO, will be the last one. But you have your nozzle, you have your controller, and your compressor. That's it.
Easy day. Well, as we wrap up, Faizan and Steve, man, one thing that we do on the virtual smoke deck, we like to drop a gem. So the gem doesn't have to be product related; it can be life related. Obviously, Faizan, you're running a successful business right now in multi levels, manufacturing, engineering, sales, all of that good stuff. What's one thing that you would like to drop on the people that's watching or the people that may be watching here in the future as a motivational key?
The cigar is, I love the industry because it's true Americano. You know what I mean by that? It's start by local community, starting small businesses and taking it up to another level. That is the only built by the community and served by the community. That's what I have to say. And I love that about the cigar industry. So I more power to them. That is the ultimate way to go. And that's how our company is. We are built in America for Americans and to serve the communities like the cigar community and give them the power to expand and take it to another level. So we are just the support system, but the cigar industry is doing it right. I mean, more power to the small business. We're here to support.
Steve?
Absolutely. I believe in life is living life with passion. And the biggest thing is with smoking a cigar or doing whatever when it's a group of people, and obviously in a location of yourself, is it's a passion, it's a lifestyle. So live life with passion and have a good time, and just make sure that you help everybody else life.
Well, we appreciate you guys so much for taking this hour out of y'all day. I know y'all are busy. Got a busy work week ahead of you guys. I definitely appreciate you guys, coming onto the show. And, I wish y'all nothing but the best and further successes, okay?
Thanks for having us. Yeah, this was great.
It was awesome. And is there any other questions that we can answer at this time, or good?
We are all good, man. We are all good. So we appreciate you guys. We'll be in contact soon. And y'all stay smoky, okay?
Hey,
take care, brother.
Jack, have a great day. Thank you so much.
Brother. One thing I love about the smoke deck is, man, you're gonna ultimately get a plethora of information to be utilized at your disposal, day in and day out, right? Understanding humidity, understanding cigars is crucial to the cigar enthusiast, the cigar connoisseur. This is yours, right? So understanding what it takes to take care of it is everything, and understanding the mindset that it goes in for us as on the retail side, that the quality that we're looking for in our cigars. So y'all keep doing y'all damn thing. Next week we have John Hubert from Crownhead Cigars. I cannot wait to sit down with this brother, man. He is one interesting guy, and I am excited about all the cigars and what he did put out in 2021, as well as his releases in 2022. So with that being said, excuse me, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, give us a huge thumbs up. And if you're watching on Facebook, man, go ahead and like and follow the virtual smoke day for all the notifications of when we go live, as well as go to DapperDCigars.com for all your cigar needs and wants. And go follow us at Dapper D Cigars on Facebook and IG. I'm Jack, the cigar enthusiast, and I'm gone.